and welcome to PublisHer Unmasked, a series of conversations with inspirational bookwomen from around the world. As many of you will know, PublisHer is a worldwide community of female publishing leaders working to tackle the industry's entrenched gender imbalances, which even today are particularly pronounced at the top level in many countries. I'm delighted to have with me today for a very special edition of Unmasked, Karine Pansa, Director and Partner of Girassol Edições, a children's publisher in Brazil, and the recently elected Vice President of the International Publishers Association. Welcome, Karine.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you to PublisHer for inviting me for this interview. I'm pleased to.
So, Karine, I'm really pleased to have this opportunity to interview you today so we can get to know you, your publishing company, and your journey to becoming the IPA's Vice President. First of all, I'd really like to start off by asking you to tell us a little bit about your publishing company, Girassol. When was it founded and what does it publish?
Oh, Girassol is a young publishing house. We founded it together with a Spanish partner in 2000. So it's now 21 years.
Congratulations.
Quite young, or not really young. So we used to have a Spanish partner. And at some point in 2013, we became an only Brazilian company, and which I am partner with my dad, Benedito, who is also very responsible for my career as well, and for putting me in this world. And we have been publishing around 120 titles per year. It's a children's books publishing house focused from the age to 0 until 11, 12. And you can see some of the books here. So we have activity books, story books, fiction, nonfiction, reference books. So everything that fits in the trade market, sometimes also in the mass market. So that's what we do for living in Girassol.
Your books are beautiful. That's a very nice bookshelf you've got behind you.
Thank you.
And you mentioned your father is responsible for you coming into the world of publishing, and I know that you've had publishing as your career from the very beginning. So he was obviously inspirational in bringing you into the world of publishing. But what was it about publishing that really attracted you to join the world?
I usually say that I was, born into the publishing world because my dad used to work in a publishing house. So since I was born, literally, so I always have been in contact with, comic books or books as well, and going into events, bookshops, book fairs. So it has been, kind of natural to my interest. And at some point when I was a young teenager and I wanted, to do some money for my personal use. And then I asked him, do you have any work that I can do? At that time, he had a newsstand. My mom had a newsstand, and he was working at a children's publishing house. So he gave me something that I could translate. So I started translating some children's books titles. And it was really interesting to me, to see that the kids could play with those books and also to learn from it. I think that was the main point that was really interesting for me, give them the opportunity to learn while they were playing, while they were doing fun things at the same time. So it was the most interesting thing for me. And then when I entered into college, so I did business administration, and it was, you know, very common things, because in business administration you can do anything you want, really, if you are inside of a company.
Yeah.
So I started passing through all these different stages and departments of the company, and it was kind of natural.
And then you founded Girassol with your father as well. So it's been a family business.
At that time, he was working in another company, and as I didn't say before, but he was transferred at some point in his career. He was transferred to Portugal to start a Brazilian publishing house in Portugal. Mm-hmm. And then one of his friends, a person who has worked with him, invited him to start this new publishing house in Brazil. So it was kind of the opposite, you know. And I was already working with him at the other publishing house, and we decided that it was a good opportunity for us to start our own company together with somebody else. And so we had a relation with a Portuguese company and a Spanish company, and it was the very, very beginning.
And do you remember your first book fair?
Yes, I do. And I still have friends from the first book fair, from the first visit I did. My first book fair was when I was 16, and it was Frankfurt Book Fair. In October, we have a very a big holiday season that is 1 week, very near to the 12th of October. And for some reason that I really don't understand why, it's always Frankfurt week. So I was on holiday from the school, and my dad invited me to come with him, and I did. So I was already doing the translations. I was not working at the company, but it was the first time I have visited Frankfurt. I was 16.
Was that a momentous occasion for you? Did that make you really decide that publishing was going to be your career?
I realized that it was something that it would be good for me doing, you know, like visiting other publishers and knowing other types of books. So I started doing this part of the business that is on co-edition. So you have the book and you translate it and you publish in your country. It was very easy to have, you know, very nice books and all printed abroad and brought into Brazil. So I realized that we could have a huge opportunity in the Brazilian market, and he approved this possibility as well. So we kind of started this way. It was really nice.
Fantastic. And that's brought you to where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, beyond your day job of running this very successful and exciting children's publishing company, you've also been very active in contributing to the broader publishing industry in Brazil. What other roles have you occupied at an industry level?
Oh, Emma, I started as board of director at the Brazilian Book Chamber.
Right.
When Roseli Boschini was president. So she was, you know, trying to have more women and young publishers to the industry. So that's when I started. It was my first contact with the broader industry. And then I did a campaign with the São Paulo mayor for gathering some books and distributing it for the kids. And then I started working also with the research that CBL has at their core business as well. That is the Brazilian portraits. And what else? Then I went to government stuff in the national programming for developing books and literacy in Brazil.
Right.
So it has been, you know, quite a lot of experiences. And the last one, it was with Fundação Dorina Noville, that is non-profit organization for the blind. So it brought me also to the empowerment visuality business. So we started a business inside Fundação Dorina Noville to develop EPUBs and to bring it to the market as well. So it was kind of a beside business of Fundação, because they were helping people that are blind and that they have, low vision. And at some point, Alfredo Weisflog, that is a very active person also in the industry. He was there at the Fundação. He was the one who invited me to be part of this as well. And we started planning a business plan to this institution, so that they could help the publishing sector and also get some money out of it. So it was my last, let's say, important Brazilian active work before coming back to IPA.
Yeah, and I know that accessibility and providing books for the visually and print impaired is an important pillar of the IPA. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But so why has it been important to you to take on these roles and responsibilities within the industry?
Emma, I was always very keen on learning new things and knowing new possibilities, or not being stuck in an only place. So I think that was the main part of my career that brought me to these places, like knowing other people, having the possibility of doing new network, and also bringing it back to my business, my personal business.
Yeah.
So it is always good when you have new visions and new parts of others' opinion. And so I think it was really, really important for me and for my, personal understanding as a person, because I was like born into that, and then now like grown up, and what should I do with all this information? So I started catching more information from abroad, and I think that was important for me.
Yeah. And at an international level, you've been an active member of the executive committee of the International Publishers Association for a few years now, representing the Brazilian Book Chamber. So what motivated you to join the IPA in particular?
Oh, there is a person who brought me into IPA. That is, again, Alfredo Weisflog. So he was the person before my turn. He was the person who was present at IPA at all times. So he was the one to represent the Brazilian Book Chamber and SNEL at the General Assemblies. He was part of some committees. So he was the one who, showed me the importance of IPA, the importance of the work that IPA does all over the world with the publishers regarding mainly with the copyright and freedom to publish, the two main pillars that IPA has. And as I truly believe that copyright is something, important, let's say sacrosanct on this journey. So I got really, really interested on that. And he knew that I was interested. So he started, showing me a little bit more and putting me on his place. So he's the person who is responsible for that.
It's really encouraging to hear that there's been both men and women throughout your career that have been helping you grow and come up the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah. So Jose, Alfredo, my dad, so they were really, really important to that.
Yeah. And you've mentioned a little bit about the work of the IPA with their focus on copyright and freedom to publish. Could you tell us a little bit more about the work of the IPA and specifically what work you're going to be leading on as vice president over the next 2 years?
So IPA has mainly two pillars. One of them is copyright, and the second one is freedom to publish. So as I said, copyright is the base for all the publishing, maintenance, and the production of new content. So when you think about any content that has been developed in the industry, there is always an author, there is always someone who is responsible for that. And this person, in my opinion, and also IPA's opinion, they have to be, secured that the person is being mentioned and the person is being paid for that. So sometimes it's an author's work. So as the musician, they have to be, present in their work. So IPA is very much, struggling to maintain all these possibilities for the publishing industry. Because if you think, if there is no author, there is no content. And if there is no content, there isn't the publishing. There isn't any publishers. So that sometimes that's what's happening in some countries where there is copyright free everywhere. So you have to think about this. And the second pillar is freedom to publish, where you have to make sure that everyone has the possibility to publish and to say whatever they want about anything, even if it's against others' opinion. So it is really important. And in Brazil, we have a non-taxation, just to give you an example how countries can be very supportive on publishing, freedom to publish. In Brazil, we have a non-taxation law on every product that is related to publishing. So if there is no taxation, so they cannot prohibit or make it unavailable for people. So you don't pay any taxes on paper, you don't pay any taxes on books, you don't pay any taxes on printing services. Everything that is related to publishing is untaxed. So you make sure that you don't shut up people with taxes so products don't get too expensive in their way. So I really believe this is also really important. So these are the main two pillars that IPA works. We also work very closely on building literacy programs and discussing about that, diversity, inclusion. So we are part of many programs around the world that takes into these subjects very closely.
Yeah.
And you have asked about what are my new expectations on IPA work. So I'm working now on Jakarta World Book Publishers Congress that is going to be in 2022. We are already working, we already have the programming committee that is going to choose all the subjects, the teams on the team that the Congress is going to work, and also the people who are going to participate on this Congress. It seems it's quite a long time, far from us, but not really. And I really hope that this COVID thing has improved until we get to 2021.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of the COVID thing, what impact has the pandemic had both on your company and on Brazilian publishing?
Oh, this has been a very difficult year.
Yeah.
We had in the a year ago, March last year. So we had all the bookshops and all the retailers all shut. They were all shut down. And Brazil as a country, we were not prepared on the other type of distribution, you know, the internet e-commerce and this type of distribution. So I think that many publishers, they have struggled on getting the e-commerce thing set up and all this distribution related issues. It was really, I'm sorry, difficult for us. So the sales have dropped significantly.
Right.
And at the end of the year, we've had some publishers that could recover and some publishers that could not recover. In my personal business, I had a real difficulty on, you know, on having the numbers of sales in the same stage, because we sell children's books, and children's books, most of them are, you know, people want to see the book, want to see how they can read and how they can play. So the authors are not really well known. So because there are lots of possibilities on children's books, so it was a little bit difficult in the beginning. But now, a year later, what we see is that we have to build other characteristics on how to sell the books. And this is how we are working now. So we are doing, let's say, videos, doing social media programs. So everything is to reach to the customer in a different way. So we know the customer is there. We know that the kids want more books and to play in their spare time. So it's now getting better. But as a total market, I would say that Brazil, we had a drop on sales. And I don't know the figures on that, the final figures, but I would say that we had a drop. And we'll take a little bit longer so that we can recover from that.
Yeah. And I know at the IPA, you've been really analysing what the impact's been on publishing around the world. And from that research, I mean, what do you think are the biggest changes that you see in the publishing industry, especially those that you think will be permanent and here to stay? How have things changed, you know, for the future that won't go back to how they were before?
Oh my God, it was a big research that we did with 33, I think, publishers from around the world. So we got as a photograph or how it was the COVID thing related to the business. And from what we could understand is that the distribution part is going to be something that has, you know, changed 5 years, that happily changed more than 5 years. So what I mean that we were not used, or most of the countries that we have spoken, were not used to buying books only on internet or even on bookshops and having them delivered in their homes.
Yeah.
So this is the most important thing that I think it's going to be changed. And also those small bookshops that are focused on specific targets and niches, I think they're going to succeed because they knew how to talk to their customers very closely, and they knew what to offer as well. So I think this is going to be something that is going to maintain. The big bookshops that are based on, you know, big shopping malls, those very nice things that we had in the past, this is really difficult now, I think, because, you know, the costs of maintaining such big stores, it's incredibly high. So we cannot vision such big sales on this type of bookshop. So it's something that is going to be difficult as well. So what we're doing now is at IPA, we are building a publishing industry. We called it International Sustainable Publishing and Industry Resilience. So we are going to publish a work on how to deal with this type of issues, and we are also building together with our executive committee a charter so that we can publish and make more publishers aware of the responsibilities and the consequences that COVID has brought us. So we know, of course, that some countries they didn't suffer bad consequences on COVID, but we know that some others they had. So it is going to be, examples of resilience, cooperation, so that we can, put into action in this ecosystem.
I think it will be a real shame, especially in Brazil, where you have so many amazing, beautiful bookshops, to see the end of those big bookshops and to see them disappearing from our high streets and our shopping malls. So I hope in some circumstances that some of them do manage to survive. And what do you think about working from home, less travel, maybe no physical book fairs like there were before? What's your vision for that?
I'm working much more in terms of hours, because I had I spent many hours commuting, like going from one place to the other. So now you just wake up and you just go to the office and you stay all day long with Zoom after Zoom. So we are producing, I think, much more. And this is something that I think that is going to stick for quite a longer period, as travels are not very welcome at the moment. But I think that the bad part is not being able, to visit book fairs and to interact with the people we were used to. So I think the model that we used to have with thousands of people visiting book fairs, I don't know if it's going to come back very soon. I really don't know. For the model we used to have in Brazil for the public, I think this is not going to happen very soon. But maybe for the business book fairs, we can try to find possibilities.
I very much hope so. It feels like a long time since we were able to meet each other in person and be surrounded by the publishing industry and all the fabulous books that are published from around the world. So I hope that eventually, sometime in the near future, we're able to meet up and travel to a book fair and meet up again.
Me too. I really hope so.
Well, thank you very much, Karine, for these insights into your life and publishing journey. I think it's very exciting that for the first time we have two women in the leadership positions at the IPA. I'm very excited to see what you and Badua achieve together over the next 4 years. And wish you every success on your journey, and really look forward to seeing what happens next.
Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you for inviting me for this interview. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.